Okay, I need to process. And that's the main reason that I do this. It helps me to process emotion, to talk about it, and that's all this fucking is. And that's it. Nothing else matters. I unexpectedly, as is usually the case, was triggered a few minutes ago. I'm gonna let the cat just hang out outside and graze. The words feel stuck. I'm trying to unstick things because everything feels kind of stuck. I'm having a hard time thinking. And the loudest voice is the voice saying, come on, this is nothing. Why are you reacting this way? Why are you feeling anything at all? This is silly. And I'm very aware that both the reaction and that voice are ego. And there's nothing wrong with the experience of the reaction. And the reaction is to, so this place that I have read tarot, and I've read there for several events now. And it had been discussed, and it's been discussed and hoped for by me to get there more regularly, to be in shop as a reader and available for more than just events. But I haven't followed through with it. And, you know, I have a full-time job. And certainly there's been a part of me that I've struggled with the whole imposter syndrome thing. There's Jonah. But there's a different feeling that I am noticing that has prevented me from really taking action on this, because if I really wanted to, I would, right? If I felt like everything with this was aligned, then it would make sense. If the only thing stopping me was fear of judgment, then I could notice that and move through it and do it anyway. And that's what I do when I do the events. Everything feels aligned when I read for these events. But when it comes to being there regularly, there's something that sticks for me. And yes, part of it is to do with the fact that I would have to be taking time off of the job that I work and that currently provides my paycheck and my living. But a bigger part is I don't know that I feel like I really fit there. And so all of this was spurred because I saw a post on Instagram of this place, this shop, promoting the fact that they had another reader in today. They had a tarot reader in today. And they were offering 15-minute readings, which is, I think, probably pretty typical for what is offered for a walk-in reading. Just, you know, shop on Main Street, walk-in business. And so this is hard to articulate. It immediately upset me. I felt upset. Immediately I felt upset. And immediately the voice inside me is rationalizing and saying, there's nothing to be upset about. They never promised you that. That would be ridiculous, first of all, if they promised that I would be the only person to read there, unless I was consistently there every single day. They never agree to that. You never asked for that. That was never what you wanted. It was understood from the beginning that this is a space available for healing arts, and their intention is to have a rotation of individuals moving through here. And people who are asking for the space are going to get the space, and you're not even asking for it. And, you know, there was no agreement that was betrayed here. There's no reason to feel betrayed. And yet that was the feeling, you know, there's this feeling of threat, this feeling of being threatened, and this feeling of disappointment. And so I'm just observing that and exploring that and recognizing that a part of me really feels bad that I'm not doing this more, that I'm not seizing this opportunity, that this space is available and I could be asking for it, and I could be showing up there and believing that I will get walk-in clientele. But a part of me really doesn't believe it and really doesn't want that either. And so then there's all this internal shame for not wanting that, and this feeling like I am letting myself down, like I'm wasting an opportunity or wasting my potential or something like that by not doing this, when it doesn't feel quite right. It doesn't feel like something I really want to do. And I do enjoy reading tarot, and I have enjoyed doing these events tremendously. But the feeling is different too, because the people who show up for these events are expecting to spend a significant amount of time there. They're there for the pop-up market. They're there to sign up for flash tattoo, and there's a huge line for that, and they know there's going to be a wait on that. So they're coming there with the expectation that they're going to be hanging around, walking around this area of Main Street for a couple of hours. And so the tarot reading that I offer, I feel makes sense because it takes time. Because I don't do 15-minute readings. And that's not shade on anybody who does. That's just, it's not the way that I read. It doesn't work that way for me. My intention with a reading is to go deep. If I'm not doing it to go deep, it doesn't feel authentic. It doesn't work for me. And a part of that means it's going to take some time. It's going to take a minimum of 30 minutes. And probably more like 45 to even an hour, depending on what we get into, what we're talking about. Because I'm not just doing a reading either. I'm reading the energy, and I'm offering advice. I'm attempting to help clear an energetic block in that session. And I know I underprice myself for that, and I undervalue myself for that, but exactly that, it's not a walk-in type of thing. It's the same as a lot of people thinking I'm going to go get a tattoo. A lot of people, and this is why a lot of people end up not getting that flash, that walk-in tattoo, is because they don't realize the time and the money that goes into that. It's still going to cost you $150 and probably 3 hours. And if you hear the word walk-in and that's not what you're expecting, then you're going to drop out. You might sign up and then drop out. And that's happened with a few people. And the people that I do read for, who are there to listen, to be present, to really hear something, to learn something, they walk away feeling satisfied. But it's, I don't know, I feel like a mismatch. But then there's a part of me that's saying that's just an excuse, right? and that you should be doing this anyway. You should be trying more. You should be hustling more. You should be trying to get out there. You should be taking the time off of work and going here because it was offered to you. And, you know, of course they're going to pass you by because you're not taking them up on this offer. And I think there's just a lot of guilt over that. There's a lot of guilt over not doing this more. But the reality is it doesn't feel right. I don't feel compelled. I don't feel excited about it if I think about doing that. It's not something that's like, ooh, that would be so much fun, but I'm kind of scared. It doesn't feel that way. It feels like I don't know, it feels like pushing. It feels like pushing too hard. It feels like trying to make something fit that doesn't. And I think I'm coming to this realization that while I value this relationship, it's not a long-term relationship. It's not in this way. That it just isn't a fit. It's a fit in other ways. I vibe with the people. It's a wonderful place and I enjoy the people very much. And as a shop and a tattoo parlor, it's awesome. And I do enjoy the events. But as an everyday show up and do this kind of thing, it doesn't feel quite right. It's like, that ain't it. That ain't quite it. Because the services that I offer and my intention is, it's just heavier duty. It's therapeutic. My intention is to provide a sort of therapy when I do a reading. And it's a different level of emotional investment than I feel most people who are attracted to this location are interested in investing in engaging in. And again, that's not a judgment. It's just I don't think I'm a foot traffic kind of person, you know? So then there's that voice that says it's just an excuse. Again, you're just making excuses. But I don't feel like that's really true. I just don't feel compelled towards this. And I think that's why I feel bad. That realization growing within me is why that hit me so hard. Why I was so triggered by seeing this. It's, you know, that little piece of like, maybe you went on a few dates with a person and it was nice and they made you feel nice, but you didn't really click. And you kept saying, yeah, I'd like to go on another date with you, but it wasn't that strong of an intention. If you really wanted it, you would have made it happen, right? But it wasn't that great. It just wasn't that great. It didn't ring your bells that way. And so then, you know, you see that person out with somebody else. And even though you didn't really want to be in that relationship, it still hurts. There's still that thing in you that goes, oh my God. Did I miss my chance? But miss my chance at what? Something that I wasn't all that interested in to begin with? It's entirely ego. It's entirely this, you know, it's the same as this sort of fear of being alone. This fear that, oh, well, if I don't take the first opportunity provided to me, even though it doesn't quite feel right, I'm not going to get another one. And I'll have missed out. I'll have missed my boat. But again, if I wasn't excited about getting on this boat, then what's the big deal with missing it? What's the big deal with letting this boat pass? If this is not a boat that I really am eager to get on, then this is a challenge to exercise my discernment and my trust, and tapping into that knowledge in myself that this is not something I need. I don't need anything to feel satisfied and fulfilled. I'm not missing out. That fear of missing out. What is meant for you cannot miss you. And you can't miss it. And it's obvious. And I believe that. I've experienced that. It's a hell yes. And this is just not. That's what it is. This is not a hell yes. And sometimes it's hard to realize that. Sometimes it hurts and feels kind of scary to realize that this is not a hell yes. And this is not a thing that I would genuinely want to pursue. And I don't know if that's true for tarot reading in general, or just, this situation, this environment, which again it's not a bad one. It's just not, it doesn't feel like the fit for me. What do you think, mister? Oh. And yeah, it feels clear to me now that that's what the reaction is rooted in. That's what the pain is rooted in, is in realizing this. And it's the same as realizing that you don't want to be in a relationship with someone, that you don't want to be in whatever situation that you sort of just halfway committed to. And this is the time of seeing, this is the testing of, if you really want this, then go for it. And if I felt like I really wanted this, I would feel that. I would go, oh my God, this makes it so clear. This contrast makes it so clear that I want to do more. I want to make it known. I want to put forth the positive action towards this. But it's not that. It feels like the opposite. It's clarifying the opposite, that I don't have that drive. I don't have that desire. I don't have that intention. And that's okay. That's really, really okay. It feels scary to ego, because ego doesn't trust that there's more. Ego doesn't trust baseline that it's worthy the way that it is, and that it doesn't have to be accomplishing or achieving or doing or striving towards something to be worthwhile, to be supported, to be loved, and to experience those things. But this is just more opportunity to trust that, and to trust that what is for me, if there is something that I am intended to do for the benefit of all, for the benefit and the joy of myself and all, then that thing will be so abundantly clear in its presentation to me and its magnetism, its attraction, that I will be unable to say no. I'll be unable to, and it will be joyful. It will be a hell yes. It'll be a hell yes. This is not that. This is not a hell yes. And again, I don't know if that means tarot reading is not a hell yes, or just in this situation. But at this point in time, the pursuit of some sort of career in that doesn't feel like a hell yes. And I am giving myself permission to accept that. Yes, I enjoy it. Yes, I find it therapeutic for both parties. Yes, it's a positive experience for both parties. Yes, it works. Yes, something powerful happens. It's hard for me to say that I'm good at it. Maybe that's just hard for me to claim. But there's also this awareness that there's something so much bigger than this individual self that takes over and is unfolding in those readings. And I've practiced letting it through. Yes. And I've practiced the interpretation and expression of it. Yes. And I do hold space. And I do have tremendous appreciation for anyone who is willing to go there with me, because we're going deep. Someone who chooses to have a reading with me is choosing to go deep. This is not some surface level it's not a gimmick. It's not a party trick. It's not to win friends or favor. In fact, I have told many people things that they did not want to hear. And that's challenging, to give a reading to someone that this is information they don't want to hear. And I've been there too. And I believe it will continue to have value, and it will continue to play a role, and I will be open to participating in whatever is asked of me in that regard. This just ain't it. And so it's okay. And I feel so much lighter in sending my well wishes to the shop and to the individuals reading and receiving readings and all of that there. Now ego is not bound up in it because I have this recognition of where that feeling was coming from inside of me. The harshness of realizing the truth that this is not a hell yes, but the liberation also of accepting that. And now, I just heard my fiance coming through the front door, and I'm gonna go make some dinner, and I feel so much better. That's it.